Oh, we just got a little snow today. Kind of pretty. Yeah, it's nice and warm in here. A little bit earlier, I had this thing all the way up to 400 degrees, which is the best operation apparently. If the temperature is down in here, it can have buildup of creosote on the pipe, and if it's up over here, that's fire danger. So right in that white area is supposedly the best temperature to operate the stove at. And so I have decided that I'm going to do a little bit more work on this thing. So I'm going to nuke this, and I'm going to build a new one. That one, it's, you know, the drawers don't really pull it in and out very well, and it's stationary. I want to build one where I can actually wheel it out and work all the way around it, and then, you know, wheel it back in when I'm done. So anyway, that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. And I've got a sketch up of the build in my head. It's got 4 legs. And well, I watched YouTube on a couple of bench builds, and this is just going to be very basic. You know, it's going to have 4 legs with casters on the bottom of it, and I want it to be 30 inches wide. And if I get really ambitious, I'm going to cut out an opening on one end of it for my table saw to sit in. And then if I get super ambitious, I'll cut out an opening on the other end for a router. So we'll see how ambitious I am after I get started. And I'm not going to tear this out yet. I'm going to leave it in place because it might help me to build that one. And then once I get that one built on wheels, then I'll demolish that and get rid of it. Okay, well, that took me longer than I thought. Got it on wheels. Those are 5 inches off the ground, those wheels, so I had to take that into consideration on the overall height. It's not done, of course. I think I will try to embed my saw right there. So put that thing, there's nothing going across right up here because I would need to slip that saw in there. I'll just have a little piece of wood going across there, like a 2-incher or something like that. That way I can get at the controls on the saw to let it go up and down. You know, as opposed to over here, I've got 2x6 going all the way across, and 4x4 legs. All right, so I'll get started on putting the saw in there. What I have to do to get the saw put in there is I'm going to take this thing off of its legs. Well, so I'm going to take this thing off, and then I'm going to set it upside down right over here and trace the outside of it. Okay. Came off just like I thought. It has a little 10 amp motor in there, 5,000 RPM. All right, I got this thing all traced out. Now the scary part is going to be cutting it out, because you know it's a perfectly good table now, and if I make a mistake on this, then it's no longer a perfectly good table. I think I'm going to take that saw over there and just line up the blade here, do a plunge cut, and push it forward. I'll do that on each of them, each side, and then I'll get my my little jigsaw and just finish off the ends. We're at 350 degrees. Definitely keeps the coffee warm. Keeps me warm. It's freezing outside. Worked just fine. I can't make the straightest of cuts, but that works for me. I think I can just do that all the way around and just finish off the corners with the little jigsaw. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim off those corners. Okay. So that thing drops in there fairly snugly. Took me an extra 5 minutes to figure out why it wouldn't fit, and I had to cut that little pigtail out because of that little pigtail there. So now theoretically, if I take this thing and flip it upside down over here on this piece of wood here, so it's not going to get all dinged up from the concrete, I should be able to drop that in from the other side. All right, I dropped that saw down in there. It looks from this side pretty good. Had to widen that little pigtail up a little bit for it to drop it down in there all the way, but it, you know, just by looking on this side, it seems to be setting pretty flush against the board that's underneath there. So I think that it's sitting pretty flush against the surface here if I were to turn it over. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a couple of blocks. I'll put one right there on that side and one over there on that side. Okay. All right. Well, it's sitting in there, And it seems there's maybe just a little bit of a catch right about in here. I think that I could probably just sand that down just ever so slightly.